If you're watching this either in the pandemic or after the pandemic, it doesn't matter. You are strong. You are resilient. You are adaptable. Because this pandemic is something that probably nobody went through before that is living now. This pandemic is probably one of the only things that affected the whole world. Not just one country, not just one continent, not just one region. The whole entire world was affected by this pandemic. And a lot of us has changed. A lot of us changed our lives. A lot of us changed our routines. A lot of us lost some habits. A lot of us lost our minds. And unfortunately, a lot of us lost our lives. And before I even get into the video, I just want to send my prayers out to everybody that lost their life. Send my prayers out to anybody that lost a loved one. They are in my thoughts. My condolences. Speaking about the pandemic though, like I said, it changed a lot of us. And I was one of those people that changed. It changed me physically, mentally, spiritually, all three aspects. I became a different person than I was back then. It's almost like I transformed. And from my transformation, there's a lot of things that I learned in the pandemic. Here are 5 things that I learned in the pandemic that I feel like I should either let you know or I should bring it up to light just to remind you about it. Without further ado, let's get into the video.
What?
Before we get into the video, I already said that, but before we get into the video for real, I want to try something out with my supporters, with my subscribers, with the comments section. This is a very serious topic. I know I talk about a lot of serious topics, like NoFap is serious, the freaking EDP situation is serious. But this is like super serious because, a lot of sad moments have came because of this pandemic. But I want to try my hardest to help you out, even if I don't even know you. So let's do something. If you're watching this video, subscribe or not, go in the comments section. Say one thing that you are thankful for. I know it sounds very corny, very cliche, but trust me, I have a very strong feeling that you might help somebody in that comment section. So even though if you don't feel like doing it, just put something small. You can put multiple things that you're thankful for. Just put something that you're thankful for. I'm gonna put something that I'm thankful for sure. But if you're watching this, make sure you do the same thing. Come on. Show a little bit of gratitude. Put something in the comment section. Without further ado though, let's get into the video for real. The first thing that I learned in this pandemic is that your real friends will not lose contact with you. My experience with this is that the circle that I had before the pandemic versus now is a drastic change. I used to be kind of like an ambivert, maybe more on the introvert side before the pandemic. But after the pandemic, a lot of things happened that just made me push away from society and just like want to be by myself. And I guess I guess the reason because of that is because a lot of people just fell off of me. A lot of people lost contact with me. They stopped communicating with me. Some people, it felt like a hassle to get a hold of them because they just weren't really in tune with the conversation. They just didn't care about it. So I just told myself, how about instead of searching for attention from people, if the person wants the attention, I'll let them have it. And doing that has caused a lot of contacts to be deleted, a lot of contacts to be dry, a lot of dry text messages. But over time, the people that left, they left, right? But the people that stayed, the bond got bigger. And I also made some new friends, in the pandemic. So I guess I was losing friends, but I wasn't really losing like a big number. Like, I mean, my circle did get closer. So I do have a lot of friends. Well, yeah, I have a lot of, friends, but close friends, like brothers, like sisters, like homies, that circle has grown, like, not even grown. That circle has shrunk a lot. And I guess for some people, those are like the what you call friends, the people in your circle. But in that case, I just have a lot of acquaintances. And you know what I'm saying? A lot of people, they went from friends to acquaintances, as I was living in the pandemic. Just because, it just became like a phone communication thing. And people they just didn't transfer. The second thing that I learned in the pandemic is to not get attached to a positive thing or a negative thing. Now, you probably understand the negative thing, but you're probably thinking, why can't I get attached to the positive thing? Well, it's because of this. When you get attached to the positive thing, it's like, and when I say attached, I mean attached. It could be a person. It could be a dog. It could be like an anime character. It could be a dream that you had. When I say dream, I mean like a goal. Or it could be like, like, you know what I'm saying? Like a goal, aspiration, something that you really want to do. You're just attached to it. And then it doesn't happen. Or that person loses contact with you. You're going to be feeling very lost. That's how I felt. I was feeling very lost. And there's a point in time where there's something I was really attached to. There was someone that I was really attached to. And when me and that person fell off, it just messed up my whole direction. It felt like my life was at a pause, but time was still going. It felt like my mental stability was just getting worse. Because I had to adapt myself into being without that person. But I learned not to do that. I learned to expect the unexpected and just say, oh well, c'est la vie, it's life when it comes to things. Because, not being attached to things is going to help you in the long run. It's going to have you safe. Number 3, the third thing that I learned was how to connect better with myself. The pandemic really had us staying in our homes. Couldn't really go anywhere. I had the parents that didn't let me do anything. Like I could barely go to Walmart, you feel me? Like I could barely do that type of stuff. So all I had was myself and my house. My brother, he went off to college, so you know what I'm saying? There was a time where I couldn't even talk to him. So I was like, okay, I'm in my house for probably about another year or two. What can I do? And pretty much the thing that I did was have a better relationship with myself. I looked in myself in the mirror more. I had a better diet. I started drinking more water, started drinking less juice. I started practicing NoFap. There's just a lot of things during the pandemic that really helped me be the person that I am today, because I decided to stop trying to fit in with the group and start trying to be the best version of myself. I really started looking for my purpose in this pandemic because I wasn't distracted with people, trying to invite me to their parties or people trying to play 8-ball with me or something. I was really in like the hyperbolic time chamber pretty much. And I had a different direction. It's like I decided, instead of trying to be the best person in the group, I should try to be the best person that I can be. And when you're not comparing yourself to other people in your school, other people in your city, other people in your state, you're going to realize that the sky's the limit. you're going to realize that nobody is ahead of you except for yourself every time you improve. And with that mindset that I had, that's what helped me transform into this person right here to this person right here. The fourth thing that I learned in this pandemic was that relationships come and go. Now, this is kind of like the first thing that I said, about real friends can never lose contact with you. But this is more on the intimate side. I barely talk about my intimate side, but it is what it is. But yeah, I learned that relationships come and go. I'm gonna be honest with you. Throughout this whole pandemic, I had several talking stages. Like, I guess you can say I dated a lot of people, but in a sense, I really didn't. But still, I had a lot of talking stages, and obviously, since I'm single, none of them worked. None of them stayed afloat. They all ended pretty abruptly, if I'm being honest. But it's okay, because I learned a lot in those relationships that I had. I learned more about myself, and I learned more about people. I learned that a lot of people will leave you when times get tough. Doesn't matter how hard it gets. There's a lot of people that, you know what I'm saying? I understand that if you put yourself first, but there's a lot of people that just stop caring about you. There's a lot of people that stop caring about your morals, stop caring about what you tolerate, and then they just go crazy. And I understand that, the pandemic was terrible for everybody. But at the same time, you just kind of have to respect that I'm gone. You feel me? So I learned that relationships come and go. You know what I'm saying? This really ties into other things because it's also the message of where you can't be too attached to a person because, anything can happen. Anything can happen. So you just got to be mindful of that. The fifth thing that I learned is that life is short. You only got one life. You only live once. Some people only live to their 5. Some people live to their 103. But you don't even know how long you're going to live. So what you have to do is live life to the fullest and stop wasting time. Every second you procrastinate, that is a second wasted of your life. Every minute, every hour, you sit down, you lay down, doing absolutely nothing when you could be doing something else. That's an hour wasted of your life. There is so many things that you can do in an hour. There's significant things you can do in 5 minutes. But instead of finding what those things are, you decide that you're going to finish Real Housewives of Atlanta and finish your freaking chips bag at the same time. That's not the way to go. And you know that's not the way to go. So let me be the person to tell you, life doesn't wait for you. Time doesn't stop. If you have your goals, if you have your aspirations, if you have things that you want, you need to go for it. You need to strive for it. It's not about the destination. It's about the journey. But the reason why you don't want to get to that destination is because you don't want to go through the journey. But when you get to that destination, you're going to look back at your journey. You're going to be like, that was a good journey. Because it's the journey that counts. It's the journey that teaches you. It's the journey that determines how disciplined you are, how resilient you are, how adaptive you are, how strong you are. A journey kind of like this pandemic. The destination can be anything. It can be a new car. It can be $1 million. It could be a wife, a husband. And I know that the pandemic stopped a lot of people from achieving those things. But let me tell you this. The pandemic was the journey. Even though the pandemic ended, the journey didn't end. The journey ends when you get to your destination. So let me ask you a question. Where you are right now, is it the destination or is it part of the journey?
You thought it was over.
Oh yeah, that boy gay. I see that.